Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the XboxEra podcast. It's Sunday, December the 1st, and I'm joined by my wonderful colleagues from XboxEra, Shpeshal Ed and Kaironaut. How are you guys?
Good. Yo.
It's the end of the year, and
Yep.
it's been a good year. There's been lots of stuff going on. What you guys been playing lately?
A lot. I mean, let's just accept the fact that whenever you ask this question, just understand that Rocket League and Modern Warfare are just always going to be.
They're sucking up some time.
For me, it's basically just Modern Warfare and Apex Legends.
I've gone completely cold on Modern Warfare, like completely cold. I'm just like, played the campaign. It was alright. It was Call of Duty, and I was like, they just suckered me. They suckered me again with the marketing. It's going back to basics, and I was just like, no, it's the same game. It's the same game I've played.
I love it.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not going to keep saying Rocket League and Modern Warfare every time now. Just accept that I'm playing those. So the other stuff I'm playing is Pokemon on Switch. I also just started playing New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe because I just bought it yesterday. Don't know why, I just did.
That's also on Switch, right? No, U Deluxe. That's the Wii U version. Yeah, you're right.
No. U Deluxe is the Switch version. U is the Wii U version. And
okay.
I started playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It's been sitting installed on my hard drive for since the day it came out on Game Pass, and I just haven't played it. So I started playing
to get to that.
Yeah, pretty good.
Do you know, I loved...
So far, it's pretty good.
I loved 2013 Tomb Raider. I was like, this is cool.
Yep.
And then I literally 100%ed that, if memory serves. And then I loved the...
Rise was amazing.
The other one? What's the other one? The
Rise of the Tomb Raider.
I was sitting there thinking, Rise? Let's talk about that later,
No. Rise of the Tomb Raider. That was amazing.
Yeah, but then I played through Shadow, and I got to, and no spoilers, and I'll try and not spoil, but I got to, and if anyone has played it, the Valley. I think that's the best way to put it. Like it's pretty big. It's like a thing. And then I don't know, it just turned into like side mission dystopia, and I was just like, I just ran out of energy and just stopped.
Okay.
But
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, well, enjoy it. It looks great to start. Maybe I should boot it back up and start playing through it. I don't know.
1080-60 looks good.
Well, I've been 4K in it, I think. I know you're playing performance mode.
I've still got a plasma. I'm still on a 1080 plasma.
Ah, fair enough. Still super sampled and all that jazz. I've been playing Shadow Tactics, which a friend of mine, Harmonica, little shout out for you there, Harmy, because he does listen to the podcast. I made him download. I went to see him a couple of weeks ago. I'd say that's probably a bit longer than that. And I made him play Lonely Mountains, which I loved. And he said, "Oh, have you checked out Shadow Tactics?" And it's basically, if you remember Commandos or something of that ilk. So it's kind of isometric.
The name
and you can flip between like different styles of like ninja to a samurai to a swordsman type thing. And what I'm really enjoying is using xCloud for that kind of game. So like the xCloud beta, I've now got console home streaming as well as the 50 games that are in the xCloud preview. And I'm using story. I bought my wife a Samsung Note 4, like when it first came out. I bought it for her because she said, I'm fed up with the kids always using my tablet when they want to in the mornings, and it's covered in like cereal and kids' fingerprints and shit and whatever. And I said, okay, honey, I'm getting new phones for us for the contracts for the year. I'll get you this tablet. I got myself a Galaxy Watch and all this sort of thing. And she's really weird about putting her password into stuff. Like, I get her anything where she's required to sign in, and she's just like, she'll put it off for as long as humanly possible, and someone makes her. So bear in mind, I bought this tablet when it came out, so this was probably this time last year. Mm-hmm. And I got her a case for it. I got it all for her birthday. Her birthday's on December, mid-December. I got a case for it, and I got all this lovely stuff. And about 4 months ago, she's still not set this fucking thing up. So I knew xCloud was coming, so I was just like plugged it in, charged it up when she was out at work, and I logged in and I set it all up. I put all my profile on it. And I kept dropping hints. It's like, someone's going to just take that from you. I should just sell it. if you're never going to use these wonderful things I buy you. And she came home the other day, and I've got it propped up, and I'm playing Shadow Tactics on xCloud, and she's just like, "That's mine." I was like, "Is it? Is it though?
Not anymore.
Is it yours?" So I have to admit that xCloud experience being played on a tablet is really good, and games of that nature, they're a little bit more slower pace. They just it's a really good way to play.
Where the latency doesn't matter as much.
It doesn't. You don't have to worry about these snap reactions. You can kind of just plow through some different genres that way, in a much more kind of. You don't need that big TV, and you don't need that cinematic experience. So, yeah, I've been enjoying doing that. And a massive thing that I suppose fits into topics of conversation this week, considering our cult leader has spoken some words on it that some of us may agree or disagree with, was playing a lot of Oculus Quest. And why are we playing Oculus Quest, Kairo? I know you have one. What came into beta this week or last week?
So I think it was actually 2 weeks ago
was
now.
It 2 weeks?
Because it was right before the Thanksgiving break for America. They announced the release of the beta for the Oculus Link, which was announced back in September, late September, as a new feature for the Oculus Quest that allows you to plug the headset into any USB 3.0 compatible computer.
Exclusive reveal. There it is. What's it?
Using any USB-C 3.0 cable.
Yeah.
You can just find literally anywhere. They're cheap as hell.
Yep.
And a capable graphics card.
And it works.
So it works. I mean, I tried it myself. I don't think the cable I have.
So
you plug it in. You plug the headset into your PC, and if you have the Oculus software installed on your PC, it'll take you through the setup. But essentially, it forces the Quest to act like a Rift. So you get the Rift's home screen, you get access to the Oculus PC store and all those games. I played Minecraft VR with it, and it was a freaking crazy experience. Oh my god, like you put yourself in VR Minecraft and everything just looks so freaking huge. Oh my god. I played a little big screen is better on PC VR because there's no streaming bullshit to worry about when you're putting
just a
things
smidge.
on the quote big screen. It was just, and you can hook it up and you can get it to actually play Steam VR games if you're enterprising enough.
Yeah, so obviously we had Half-Life, Alex announced, and it was like,
which was just a crazy reveal. I think the moment they announced it, like within 24 or 48 hours, Valve announced that they had sold out of their entire stock of Valve indexes. Specifically for that game.
Well, they did it with Steam.
I think it's a shame that In the Valley of the Gods had to die for it, though. That looked like a cool game.
That was Campo Santo that did Firewatch, wasn't it?
Isn't that still around? Did they ever announce a cancellation?
They got bought
Not
by
officially,
Valve.
but like
I haven't seen shit from
someone on Resetera posted that they showed a bunch of pictures of all these Twitter accounts of the Campo Santo devs, and all of them back in April of 2019, all of them were talking about currently developing In the Valley of the Gods, and they have all now switched to either Half-Life Alyx or freaking something else. Like none of them are now working on In the Valley of the Gods. Like,
well, it happens.
It's been I'm pretty sure it's been unofficially cancelled.
Yeah, backlogged. Yeah. But I think there's a couple of really good things from Valve announcing that. One, it is a full-length Half-Life game in VR. Now, some people, if you haven't tried VR, a lot of the experiences that are available for VR are short, kind of one and done, or short party experiences. There's very little unique single-player storytelling, and that's not for everyone. And that is starting to change. So we had Asgard's Wrath, I think, was released, which is a full-fledged
Asgard's Wrath,
RPG.
Vader Immortal, episode 1, 2, and 3, which is by Ninja Theory.
It is, but I would also say Vader Immortal is a bit of a what's the phrase I'm looking for? It's kind of like it's designed to be, you know, baby's first VR experience. Like, it's got some cool stuff in there, and it uses the Star Wars license well.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
can agree with
super
that.
on rails, like comparatively to something like Lone
Is it on
Echo.
rails?
It's
Well, I mean,
you can't go beyond where they allow you to go, is what I mean, and it's very driven. It, you know, there's no sort of open
I guess.
expanse.
Yeah, I could see that.
But you know, we are seeing this shift where, and I'm intrigued, because if anyone can actually make a game be okay to play for that length of time, because what's Half-Life 2 like? 10 hours worth of single player story? Longer?
Half-Life 2 is long.
I'm
for a
kind of
single-player game.
putting the really long canal section out of my brain here, but the fact that now, because, you know, back when I bought the Quest, I had a Rift, and I sold a Rift to a friend, and I made the bet. I was like, look, if we're already within 2 weeks of it coming out, we're seeing people coming up with technology to stream PC VR to the Quest just using a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. There's got to be a way to someone's going to use this USB-C plug to actually stream the videos. Now, Oculus have said that there is an official cable coming that's obviously going to be angled so it can hook into the headset correctly.
Angled, it's going to be about 10 feet long. It's going to be using fiber optics rather than normal copper wire.
But it's
so
available
the signal
now.
strength is better.
I can't wait. It just means I get to play Half-Life Alyx, you know, in
and I did
full fidelity.
To add on to the previous section of what are we playing. So you recommended, John, that I buy Pistol Whip when it came out. And I bought it like 2 days after that, and Jesus fucking Christ, it is just an experience.
Yeah, I that's one of the other game I bought this week was a friend of mine said, have you tried Pistol Whip? And I was like, no. Pistol...
I brought the Quest over to a friend of mine's house, and we played for hours on just trying to beat the levels.
It's tough.
It's
really
insane.
tough.
It makes you feel like you're John Wick.
It does, and Ed,
it's just
you need to
crazy.
obviously buy a Quest. Like, at this point, just get one.
Yeah.
You know, you've got every other console in existence, and I know you say you don't need another one, but you probably do need this one. You'll love it.
And your kids will love you for it.
The kids will love you for it. Use it as an exercise excuse, all right? That's what I do. Hey, honey, I'm going to play some Quest because I need to lose some weight because I'm a fat fuck. And she'll be like, okay. You know, and that's why I play. But Pistol Whip, for those of the uninitiated, everyone kind of knows what Beat Saber is nowadays. You cut blocks to music. Pistol Whip is you are walking down like a street or a corridor, and the music, bad guys appear in time. So you're kind of like, you might have a beat that will go down, down, down. And if you're good, you can be like, bow, bow, bow. And you'll kind of like just be dancing and shooting.
So like Rez?
No, it's way more tricky than Rez. And you've also got the actual Pistol Whip part. Is some guys have
like,
armor, and you have to dodge the bullets like in Super Hot, and then like whack them as you go past. And
it's like if Super Hot and Beat Saber had a baby.
Yeah.
God damn, is that baby just grown up to be something great?
Yeah, and there's a surprising amount of content. There's a bunch of different customizations for the guns.
Yeah.
There's a load of levels. So I look forward to seeing how that grows.
At least a lot of people are at least hoping in the advent of Facebook buying the Beat Saber devs that the Pistol Whip devs are a little bit more lenient on custom songs, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, I'd say that I don't need the Quest because I could just wait for Xbox VR, but that's probably not going to happen, is it?
That's a good segue.
Yeah,
that's a good segue.
Phil Spencer's comments on VR. Now, okay, I get there's a to the credit of you guys before we started recording this, to everyone who's listening or watching. We were talking about the misinterpretations that a lot of people were having on what Phil was saying in regards to VR and on the Xbox platform and things like that. And to their credit, it's your guys' credit, yeah, there's quite a few misinterpretations. I think I said that to you guys before. But honestly, I still disagree with what Phil's saying for not supporting VR on the two. Okay. For context, for those of you who aren't aware of the news, Phil Spencer went on an interview with, I believe,
Stiviver.
Well, the article I'm looking at right now is GameSpot, who might be reporting on an article on an interview made by someone else. But he says, I have some issues with VR. It's isolating, and I think of games as a communal kind of together experience. Quote, we're responding to what our customers are asking for, and nobody's asking for VR. The vast majority of our customers know if they want a VR experience, there's places to go to get those. We see the volumes of those on PC and other places. Phil Spencer added that VR as a market isn't big. Quote, nobody's selling millions and millions, end quote, of VR headsets. This might one day change, but for now, Microsoft has no plans to focus on VR for its new console.
That's all fair enough, technically.
It's a fair statement, but at the same time, like, VR as a platform is something that you can't further a medium unless you actually put effort to try and further it. Waiting for it to be a big hit is coming in late.
It all depends on your perspective on what constitutes a platform. So right now, to me, VR as a platform is one thing, and that's Oculus Quest. Because every other VR headset is technically an accessory. So really, there's no difference between a PSVR that you would buy to play Astrobot and buying a Kinect to play Dance Central. It's an accessory. It's not a platform. Oculus Quest is a platform. It is an independent piece of hardware that you can play games on and go anywhere with and do whatever. So, I don't know.
I think
that's probably what he was referring to.
I think that's an important distinction to make. Because Quest, I had a Rift. I've had an Oculus Rift since it came out. I used to play quite a lot of Elite Dangerous, and I bought one of the head tracker things that allowed me. It just had like an Arduino sensor that was like a gyro, and you could kind of move your head and simulate head look. But when I got VR, the whole game changed, and to this day, Elite Dangerous is one of the best experiences you can have in VR because the scale of everything is phenomenal. I agree and disagree with Phil Spencer's comments, context in mind or not, in that VR as an experience today is a pain in the arse unless you're on a Quest, right? And the reason for that is there's cables to drag. It's not, you've got one on your shoulder all the time, and when you're wearing the cable, you're tethered and you're kind of acutely aware, and depending upon your play space, similar to Kinect, move your sofa, move your lounge, here's your floor, be well lit. Yeah. It has all this huge variable of dependencies upon it, and at the moment, and people that play VR might disagree with me, but outside of a few outstanding experiences, be it your Astrobots, your Beat Sabers, VR is very one and done. Like I love VR, and I don't want to spend longer than an hour or two in there before I come out. Whereas standard video games with a controller in my hand, my feet up, I can play for the whole fucking day, right? So there is that key distinction to make, and the other thing is, and I think at this point in the gen, with Scarlet coming, is they're not gonna talk to you right now. Even if VR is on the table, they're not going to talk to you about it until they're in a position to. They're not going to launch with VR for Xbox. And they do support a wide variety of devices on Windows, so it's not like they're not in the space, but they know the figures, they know the numbers, and right now it's just not worth it. It just isn't. It may be in the future, but it has to get to that point, like the Quest, where there isn't a cable, where it's super lightweight, where it doesn't cost the earth, and where you can just douche.
I was about to say it's not super expensive. Yeah.
It's not. So,
but the thing with that logic is, while it may be sound from a conservative business perspective, it isn't really sound from the perspective of trying to get something off the ground. You know what I mean? Especially since we already have players from Sony to Oculus to Valve to HTC who are in the market right now pioneering experiences for PC and Quest for mobile, for its own platform, or PlayStation for console, where if and when VR takes off, and I wholeheartedly believe that the VR space will take off. It might not be next year, it might not be the year after, but it will take off. There will be a point when it takes off. When and if it does, Microsoft will be in last place by default because everyone else has already done it.
But
everyone else is already in.
They won't be
space.
because they do have devices in the space with Windows Mixed Reality. There's a store out there on PC you can buy VR games. It's not big and it's not huge, and it's certainly not getting any focus from Microsoft. But yeah, I suppose from an outside consumer viewpoint, they will be. But then they also have development houses that have experience in VR in-house at the moment, Ninja Theory being one of them. I forgot to mention when we were talking about Beat Saber, obviously big news this week was Facebook purchased or acquired Beat Games, which are the developers of Beat Saber. Good for them, I guess, if it gives the devs more money and more freedom to create cool stuff, because Beat Saber's a great game.
Amazon bought Double Helix too, and you played their latest game?
Don't know where it's gone.
Well, to be fair, at least Facebook has a game platform in Oculus. Amazon doesn't have anything and didn't have anything when they acquired Double Helix. So,
but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but I know I've said it before. But my thing with VR is, and don't forget, there's no reason. I mean, where I am on your side and disagree with Phil is that I'm pretty sure the next Xbox will be powerful enough to run most VR games. So if Windows is already supporting almost every headset anyway, there's no reason they couldn't just build support for everyone else's headset except Sony's into the next Xbox.
Into the box.
But having said that, Microsoft went all in on Kinect, and we know that didn't work out. And the funny thing is, we now see Kinect technology in our phones. We see it.
Yeah, didn't you know Apple invented
in the medical field? Yeah, Apple made it magical. And I've always said that I think VR's future doesn't lie in games. I think it lies in tourism. I think it lies in events, sporting events. I don't know.
Go buy Quest.
And maybe it's just I can't. I can't think outside the box, and maybe to me most of the best VR stuff would be mostly first person something.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, it gets somewhat limited.
I can see that. At the same time, too, is you don't have to bake in VR support to the next box, right? And Microsoft certainly does support a variety of headsets on PC. Most of them not even theirs. So, but I think at least show some token effort of kind of, toss a bone to the VR folks. What if Halo Infinite launched with a VR mode dedicated on PC? And you can use your Quest, your Vive, your Index, and you can play Halo in VR. That would be crazy.
It would be
for a
crazy,
lot of people.
but I would say that there's a bunch of design challenges that would make it difficult
no doubt.
to do.
But at the same time, you can at least throw a bone, I said.
I think we will see support at some point in the future, and I don't think it's that Microsoft have no interest. I think they really are truly aware of how small it is really. And VR lovers might argue till they're blue in their face otherwise, and I'm one of them. I would love to see unique indie experiences, and I think if Microsoft do it, they may just go, because they own a stake of Facebook, if memory serves, they'll just go, hey, Oculus, you've got Link, can we just
pair that up with Xbox,
boom, plug your store in, have the app, whatever. I don't know. We don't know what the future's going to hold.
Well, I mean, I'm still waiting for Microsoft to fucking put Minecraft on the Quest. So,
well, you can play it. You can play it using side quest, right?
You can do a side quest, or you can do Link. But can I just
get some official support? Is Minecraft in Game Pass yet? It is now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But it's not in Game Pass on PC yet.
Not that I'm aware of. No, I don't think so.
But yeah,
that's strange.
Speaking of the next gen Xbox and what it might be, so a bit of a Twitter furore this week. So anyone that pays attention to all the rumours and the endless debate around specs for either of the next gen twins, PS5 and Project Scarlett, I think it kind of settled into the general insider vibe was, after all the whole Lockhart versus Anaconda debacle about, there was 2 consoles, and was the PS5 more
Jesus,
powerful or was the Scarlet more powerful?
That was a fucking stupid 6 months we had to go through for that.
I mean, so a couple of things on this. So one, Phil did an interview following XO19, he did an interview with Eurogamer where they pointedly asked him about that other console, and he didn't say no. He said, am I going to tell you we're not doing something? No. So, okay, is that whole Project X Cloud streaming device existing somewhere? We don't know, but there was some back and forth this week because we had that leak of the PS5 dev kits with a couple of the V-shaped dev kits.
Those really ugly dev kits.
Yeah, and then we had Tom Warren popping up on Twitter. Tom Warren, for those that don't know, is senior editor at The Verge, I think, and he's worked quite extensively within the Microsoft sphere. And he said, with regards to Scarlet dev kits, that hardly anyone has them and they're nowhere near final. That's why you're hearing a lot of nonsense about them not being powerful, etc. Microsoft wants to surprise Sony this time. Now, this spawned a giant thread on Reset Era, and
I remember that.
It cracked me up because a lot of people inferred this to suggest that Microsoft were stealthily or telling lies to their third-party partners about the power of the box, and I think it's being taken out of context here. In my opinion, all that's being said is, the dev kits, until they are finalized and produced, and boom, here's your box. And everyone remembers Microsoft did a piece on the Scorpio dev kit and what it can do, double the RAM. I think that's 24 gigs of RAM and all this sort of thing. And all he's saying really is that until launch or even just after, that SDK and the software that allows you to create experiences for that new Xbox and everything else is all being tweaked under the hood to get as much out of whatever box that they've put together. It's not about sneakily lying to your third-party partners so you can go on stage, ha, Sony, you thought we put 8 gig, well, it's 100 gig of RAM and all this sort of nonsense. It's never going to happen. But it's just to say that the conversation around who's more powerful isn't really finalized yet, and I think that's the bizarre thing too, is because a lot of people even had grounds to speculate just from the simple fact that this move to not even have somewhat close to finalized dev kits at this point, where we're only a year away from launch and games need to start getting ready. This is just unusual. I don't think this has actually ever happened before, where a major console manufacturer withheld the actual dev kits until so close to launch that people are just going to be rushing things out the door. Yeah, and it's not.
We've still got a year.
Initial dev kits
are
PCs.
But a year in game development time is nothing.
Yeah, initial dev kits are PCs built with stuff like the 360 environment was.
Aren't they more PC than ever?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know.
Sure, but they still have customized units, and you can't just see. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, I can make a console. I can make a PC as powerful as a console," and it's cool. You can slap together an 8-core CPU, and a freaking 6th generation graphics card, and a couple sticks of VRAM or whatever. Well, you can't put sticks of VRAM. That's stupid. But the point is, you can't just slap a bunch of PC parts together in a box and then call it a console. There's still customizations to the CPU. There's still customizations to the board. There's still customizations in the software. But
I'm just talking about in terms of the development environment. My assumption is that it's as close to PC-like as it's ever been.
I have a feeling that they would have made a massive focus on tools. I mean, we've heard the horror stories about what the development environment was like for the Xbox One,
the XDK,
and I don't think Microsoft are listening this time. And Phil again came out, I think in the Eurogamer interview, he said we're not going to be beaten in power or price, or something to that effect. I can't remember the exact quote. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. So I think anyone, but it rustled a few jimmies, right? It got some people going, oh, the PlayStation 5.
As long as he's not doing
most
crazy
powerful.
shit, as long as it doesn't turn out that he's doing crazy shit like, oh yeah, the specs aren't finalized till E3 because we need to know what Sony specs are
That's
first.
bonkers. No company works like that, all right?
No company will do it.
They don't give
I
a
doubt
fuck.
it.
They set their price. They set their power. That's our target. Let's go.
But let's just hope they're not crazy enough to do it because
having
they're
said
Microsoft.
that though,
They're crazy enough to make the fucking name of the console Xbox One. So
the RAM on the 360 was changed pretty last minute,
And that's because
it
of
was
Epic.
about 6 to 8 months before launch.
That was changed pretty last minute. But I mean, that's just a RAM bump.
And that's
not
the
like-
same for the PlayStation 4. You know, they were
Yeah,
going
the
with one
PlayStation
type of
4
RAM,
had
but
a
then
RAM
just a
bump as
RAM
well.
bump.
production
Just a
issues
RAM
came
bump
up that
is,
were favourable to Sony, and they were like, stick in another 4 gig or something like that. And it was
Yeah, it was going to be 4, and then it became 8.
and you know, and that would have changed the conversation. So people thinking that Microsoft aren't going to be competitive in this space. I think they are. All right, like call your jets. Either way you look at it, we're going to end up with two very powerful, very similarly spec'd consoles, and it's all going to be fine. Okay, so everyone just chill out. I know that like one camp are like, oh, if we can just have 0.5% more power, we can just fucking stick it to those Xbox. And then the other side of the camp is those fucking Sony ponies. You know, like just chill the fuck out and play your fucking video games. All right. Pricks. Sorry, I was channeling my inner Kairo there.
They are going to be closer than ever next generation.
Absolutely.
The whole power argument is going to be so worthless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just-
even 0.1% will be worth something to a fanboy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, there's another part of this whole next generation launching that's gotten me kind of like, I don't know. I'm not going to say depressed, but kind of wary, I guess. Is that, yeah, the power gap between the two consoles is probably going to be the closest it's ever been in any generation, right? But at the same time, like, there's the question of, well, how much are they increasing power by, and will this increase in power produce dev costs that are astronomically more than what we currently have right now? And these are astronomical costs already, because you already saw like will the jump to 4K be as devastating? The 4K across the board, mind you, be as devastating as the jump to 720p and 1080 was for the 360 generation? Like, yeah, we had the economic crisis of 2008 to go along with that, but at the same time, not a lot of developers could make that jump, and the ones that couldn't died. We lost a lot of developers that generation. Is 4K going to do the same thing?
Well, no, because we
that's a
already
lot.
have 4K now.
Yeah, I think
Technically, we have 4K now.
I think even
not across the board.
even 5 years
No,
ago,
I know, but-
textures were rendered in a lot higher resolution, like than any machine or console was capable of, in order to
this is what I mean.
future-proof a bit.
Like
Yeah.
you've seen Gears 3 1X enhanced. It's not like they went in there and edited any of the game. Like, all that detail was there, but the hardware
True.
it was running on
That's
limited
a fair.
it. It
That's a
held
fair
it back.
statement. I'm just
Like-
worried that it's the development issue, and also the whole, if the power between the two boxes is basically the same, and the only thing that separates them is the controller and the logo, then why not just get a fucking PC?
Yeah,
Because
You know?
because getting a PC capable of running these games is going to cost the same as buying the two consoles individually anyway.
yeah.
And then you got to
Yeah.
deal with shitty ports.
True.
You got to deal with 73 launches. You got to deal with just so much. Like, man, I had my Alienware, and it was just, I don't know, it was too much work. I couldn't be bothered. Couldn't be bothered.
I'm just glad at least that going to next generation, we don't have to do this shit again of restarting everything from scratch.
Yeah.
And just worrying about, or is the stuff that we bought fucking 2 years ago still going to be compatible now?
Arguably, though, that's
hated that.
the worst generation for Microsoft to have totally screwed the pooch,
Yeah, I
right?
know. They picked the worst one.
But again, we are seeing, we saw with Black Friday just recently a massive surge in the Xbox One SAD edition. And that's
The
purely
Sade.
Because it's cheap as hell
and
right
that-
now. It's
Sade.
like what,
Sade.
200, 150?
It's the Sade.
99
It's not
quid
the sad.
over in the UK, and I think that
Yeah,
points,
even in Spain it sold.
yeah, and I think that points to Game Pass permeating the market a little bit. Because a friend of mine reached out to me. He's not had an Xbox for ages, and for any Nintendo nerds listening, he runs a little company called Deadpan Robot. Here's a little unofficial plug for him, that specialises in modding OG Game Boys with colour screens and varying types of screen and custom cases and things like that. And he does it all himself,
cool.
and he does a bunch of exhibits. But he reached out to me. He was like, I'm thinking about I want to play Jedi. I want to get, should I get an Xbox and all this sort of thing. And I was like, well, if I were you, I would buy the Xbox One SAD edition and grab Jedi on digitally and subscribe to Game Pass for £1 for 3 months or whatever, because you'll get 200 games that you might have missed out on. And
Yeah.
he was like, what? So I get all of that for... I was like, yeah. And it really changes the conversation somewhat from a value proposition. And we've said before, launch next year for consoles, it's going to be an interesting time, because I unless Sony really pivot and say we're going to, and they copy and say, yeah, we're going to launch our first party games, which I don't think they're going to do. They're going to launch that console, and you're going to have to spend an extra £100 just to get a couple of games with it, right? Whereas
I'm just waiting for the moment when Phil drops the bomb on E3 on the stage,
free.
E3 2020. Multiplayer's free, and Sony has to back that up later that night. Ooh, that's gonna be
good luck. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
How are they gonna like convince their customers of, oh yeah, we only had you pay one generation because we needed to improve PlayStation Network. It's still shit.
Which they didn't do.
yeah.
Yeah,
Go figure.
It's still garbage.
It's a fun time.
where Xbox has fucking free cloud saves for every level of account across all titles, regardless of who made them, where you can just log into any box you want. Everything comes with you. Why is it that we live in a world where Sony and Nintendo aren't doing the same damn thing?
Yeah.
At least Nintendo I can explain away as Nintendo doesn't give a shit. So
Yeah.
whatever. Don't even expect anything from them.
That's
I
true.
mean,
Sony?
Jesus Christ, Pokemon Shield does not even have cloud saves.
Wah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I keep forgetting, and I keep going to check to make sure it's backing up my save, and then it says this game doesn't support cloud saves. I'm like, oh,
Fuck you, Game Freak.
Jesus
are
Christ.
you serious?
It's a bizarre
Jesus.
world where that kind
But
of stuff isn't standard.
Let's Nintendo. We can complain about Nintendo literally all the time because they fucking do all the stupid shit and get away with it.
They still
and
make great
No one
games,
gives
though.
a shit anymore. Yeah, so they can get away with it. I'm fine with like their game output. Sony is a completely different matter because they try and ape Xbox in so many ways, and they keep fucking up in the most basic shit. Like, with save game upper limit is what, 1 gig or 10 gigs?
10 now. It was 1,
10
but now
now?
it's 10.
Yeah, because I remember like 2 years into the life of the PlayStation 4, people were already complaining that their save game allotment.
Yeah,
was
but here's the thing, right? They can keep upping the limit as much as they like, but the biggest problem on PlayStation 4, and hopefully they address it with the 5th one, because I don't think it was a major problem on PS3, is the size of the save files on PS4.
yeah, I've
huge.
noticed that.
They're
They're
so
They're
big.
freaking
Like-
ridiculous.
Like, even the smallest save file is like 10 or 20 meg, and I'm like, why?
I'm glad I never have to fucking pay attention to the size of save files on Xbox because
Oh my
it doesn't
God.
matter how big the fucking save files are. Everything's gonna
Yeah,
get to the cloud anyway.
But
so I don't care.
That's the funny thing about it. Microsoft gives us quote unquote unlimited cloud storage, but half their save files are in the kilobytes.
Yeah.
They're not even in the megabytes. Like,
Go figure,
I
huh?
just don't understand. There must be, obviously, architecturally, there's something. The way Sony has built their games, the save files are just.
Enormous.
Well, remember, Sony was the first of the major developers last generation to start releasing games that were like 30, 40 gigabytes that required an install on top of the Blu-ray. You know?
Yeah.
And it's just Jesus fucking
Hey,
Christ.
man,
When I
those
remember at the
cinematic
time,
experiences don't come cheap.
I remember, I mean, not anything comes cheap anymore. Fucking Halo isn't that much of a cinematic experience, and it's almost like 100 gigs.
Yeah, 100 and
like-
it's insane. Master Chief Collection, and Halo 5.
I remember back in that generation laughing at how big the games were on PlayStation 3 because you look at fucking Uncharted 3 at the time, which was like, what, maybe 20, 30 gigabytes? Last of Us was about 40 gigabytes. And then you looked at like Skyrim on Xbox 360 being 5 fucking gigabytes. Yeah. And you were like, wow, they really didn't fucking optimize anything for storage space, did they?
No.
And then now we're in this generation. We're all they're the ones fucking laughing, not us.
It's the size of...
Though, that's one area where Nintendo destroys them all.
Yeah. It's games
know what they are. I can still plug in a goddamn cartridge and it works immediately and I don't have to install anything.
But the games are tiny.
Yeah.
Like, they are so small. And there's like a developer who, I don't know, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Shinen, the guys that made Fast RMX. Mm-hmm. They are, from a technical perspective, they're unbelievable. Like, I think Fast RMX is like under a gig in size on the Switch, and it's just like, whoa.
That's like clever shit.
Those guys are amazing. I don't know how they do it.
Like, we can pine for the fact that SSDs are coming to the next consoles to reduce load times, but it's not going to fix how fucking big games are.
So here's a question.
We need better we need better compression technology.
Here's a question on the whole SSD thing, right? Is this is being purported to be the big leap beyond a decent balanced system with CPU and GPU.
The SSDs that we've been telling Kairo are going to be there for ages, but he said they wouldn't.
I kept saying that they're going to have an SSD. I didn't say it was going to be NVMe. You guys are crazy enough to say, oh, they're just going to put an NVMe drive in there. I was like, fucking no. They're going to put a SATA SSD in there because that makes the most sense for the price.
Right.
Why the fuck are they going to pay extra for the NVMe?
So here's an interesting question. So if you think back to the launch of the Xbox One X, before launch, Microsoft gave you the ability to download Xbox One X ready versions for 4K.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking ahead to next year now. Are they going to say, here's how our SSD technology works, or here's the type of drive you need to buy preempting for this launch, and before that point, you can download to be ready for launch night? Because I think this is a good customer-centric viewpoint to have, because no one wants to get in with their new console and wait 6 hours for everything to download, right? Yeah. Are they going to get to the point where they say, you can preload our launch titles, blah, 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 onto this type of hard drive, or whatever the case may be, and when launch night comes along, plug it in, bish bash bosh, it'll all just work.
We spoke about it in an earlier episode. We said that hopefully they let us download the Scarlet games onto our Xbox Ones and store them on a hard drive there, just in like a container that, like a zip file, like it's just this special little container that has it all compressed, and then you plug that hard drive in day one into your Scarlet, and it just opens up and the games are there.
So
surely,
I think they will.
I think they will. I just hope the lower limit for those consoles isn't 1 terabyte. That's the issue.
Don't forget, the clue to this may have been hiding on our Xboxes all along. I don't know if many of you... I'm one of these weirdos that loves going into settings on consoles. Don't ask me why. And on Xbox One, they have a feature where you can save hard drive space, where they give you a list of games that they call shrinkable games.
Yes, yeah, I've seen this.
And so you sit there in the setting and the wheel spins a bit, and then all of a sudden there's a whole list of stuff that the console presents to you and says, do you want to shrink all this shit and compress it because you never use it? And you can shrink it. So I wonder if that's the tech that's going to be there for the Scarlet games, where they'll shrink those games, you download them onto that hard drive, and then day one, plug it in the Scarlet, and they will unshrink and be there ready to play.
Let's just hope.
But 1 terabyte's not going to be enough for next generation. We're already getting into games that are 100 plus gigabytes.
It won't be bigger than a terabyte. I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
No, it won't be bigger than a terabyte. But guess what? It's not going to fucking matter if it's a terabyte, because all the games will be like 100 gigabytes.
Maybe.
So
some will, some won't. There's stuff on various types of games.
Hopefully they've worked on compression.
No, first year we'll have storage sizes about what we're seeing now. Second year it's going to be fucking 100 plus. Because this is the same with fucking last generation and this generation. size is just going
You
to
never
balloon
know.
out of fucking control.
We'll see.
Because they're just
You
going to
never know.
say, fuck how much storage you have. We need all these assets on that drive, and we're not going to compress any of it.
I just want to play
Because we
Halo
want it to be
Infinite.
the highest quality.
Yeah. Before we
It's all
move on
speculation in
to
the end, isn't it?
further speculation and the Game Awards and stuff, I'm just reading through the Reset Era Xbox OT. And to everyone, I know Kairo got yeah, Kairo, you're missing some studios and stuff. He's on it, all right, kids. He's going to update that shit.
Yeah. So little life thing. My brother got married on
Congrats to
Saturday last week. Yeah, congrats to him and his wife. So I've been super busy with that, doing a couple projects to get something up and running, trying to figure out a bunch of things. So yeah,
It all
the
sounds like
OT
excuses,
updates.
really.
OT updates are coming.
Yeah.
Don't worry about those.
But
It's just going to take a little bit, and I might ask around for like a compiled list of changes that I need to make.
I think a few of
so
them
I can just
exist.
do it all in one go.
I think
but I'm
World's
pretty sure
Edge.
most people will be happy to oblige and give
Sure.
something like that to me.
But we had a
World's Edge.
few requests from a podcast perspective. One was to reach out to Yukio Futasugi and get him and a translator to come on and talk about Phantom Dust and the prospects of joining Xbox Game Studios. And people were speculating, do I have him on speed dial? Well, of course I do. No, of course I don't. You never know, right? We've
I mean, with the frequency of interviews, we might as well seem like we have all these people on speed dial.
yeah. We're a young and burgeoning podcast. I mean, this is only episode 11, but we've been very privileged to have some very cool guests so far, and we've got a lot in the pipeline for the future. I'm not sure if any of them are going to land before Christmas, but certainly as the
I think
Xbox,
one will.
Yeah, I think one will. But certainly before
one will.
the Xbox team starts gearing up for that next gen launch, you'll see some more faces, because we absolutely love getting developers on, particularly, and people within the industry to regale us with tales of interest and things from maybe a development perspective or a perspective that isn't
Give us
commonly
those sweet,
discussed.
sweet leaks.
Yeah, and yeah, yeah. Well, we've got.
Yeah, that's not
things.
gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.
Outside of that, I think so. That was that was from Casey on Reset Era. We had Uche asking about VR. I think we've covered that one. And I think Sukia Brood, who's also a fellow XboxEra staff fellow, wanted us to talk briefly about the Game Awards, which we will come to in a second. But the last one I could see on here, and I think this is perfectly valid to discuss about, and I'm going to do this in a very serious face. With Game of the Year awards approaching, we all know Crackdown 3 is on everybody's lists. I couldn't do it. I couldn't see it through. Can we talk about Crackdown 3's accomplishments and legacy?
I don't know why you even tried. There's no way.
Well, yeah.
Gear like my left toenail has more of a chance of getting a Game Awards than Crackdown 3. No.
Best Crackdown 3
Gears
award
5
goes to.
should get a Game Award because it's a great campaign and a great multiplayer. It's just a shame that Coalition isn't like updating it as fast as the player base wants it to be updated.
Well, let's
Crackdown 3 will go down as the Scarface of the video game world.
okay.
Are you,
I don't know how many
endlessly
people. I don't know how many
serious.
people will
This is
get that
serious.
reference,
We
but
don't know.
it's the Scarface of the video game world.
It's the Shawshank Redemption of the video game world.
No. Scarface, because when Scarface released at cinemas back in the 70s, it was critically panned. It bombed commercially. It was the literal definition of a flop. But now it's like one of the all-time considered one of the all-time cult classics.
Okay.
And
knows?
yet it bombed both critically and commercially back then.
Yeah, I suppose Shawshank was praised critically but bombed commercially. But
Yeah, that's right.
before we get onto the
Shawshank's
Game
different.
Awards, a couple of rumors. We've talked a little bit about dev kits. Another rumor that was confirmed earlier this week was, and it's not a game series that I'm a particular fan of. I know you guys probably are. I think Resident Evil 3, the remake, is definitely being worked on. I think Eurogamer did an article on it. Is that right? You guys probably know more than me.
I don't know, something like that. I know that they've been taught, like, it's one of those, it's Resident Evil 3 Remake is one of those worst kept secrets in the world. Like, everyone knows it's happening, but nothing is official.
Yeah.
It was Eurogamer. Sources: Resident Evil 3 Remake in development. Posted 22nd of November.
Yeah, so...
But a little bit of speculation, though. What if, like... So, one thing that... Obviously, Resident Evil 3 hasn't been announced officially. What has been announced officially is Project Resistance.
Oh, is that the 4v1? Is it like that?
Yeah, 4v1 multiplayer thing that they announced. What if Project Resistance is Resident Evil 3 hiding under our nose the whole time? Like, what if that's the multiplayer mode for Resident Evil 3?
What? So they're kind of getting the multiplayer out to test it.
It's almost like
and it will launch with it?
It's almost like a beta. It's almost like a beta for their multiplayer mode, like 343 did with Halo, like Coalition did with Gears. But they just haven't said it's Resident Evil 3 Remake's multiplayer. It's just they've called it its own name and got
That seems
out there.
odd though to separate it like that. I mean, I
suppose
I guess from a marketing standpoint, it's great.
Remake perspective, and you kind of want to test your network code.
Considering
version.
like the remakes have been getting a lot of praise over the years. RE1 remake, RE2 remake.
If you think about it though, is Resident Evil a franchise known for its multiplayer?
No.
I don't even think outside of a couple of them, they don't even have multiplayer.
I remember playing through RE5.
That's still my favourite one, by the way.
I got the red Xbox 360 when that came out, and I don't even really care about Resident Evil.
I ended up selling it later. But if you think about it, if Capcom were to say, hey, this is Resident Evil 3's multiplayer mode and we're giving it a beta, I figure they'd want to avoid that to avoid the backlash of, oh, why are you putting multiplayer in Resident Evil 3? That means that you're taking away resources.
But even then, the backlash will come. The backlash will come inevitably. It doesn't matter if it's.
I don't know.
Back when the Project Resistance beta was out, or now, it'll happen.
But that's what I'm saying. But I think if they don't want that negativity on RE3 so early to kill it before it comes out, like. If they show RE3 Remake independently of Project Resistance, when they do announce it, whenever that is, whether it's this year, next year, whenever, it's probably too soon to announce it this year. Like, what's left? Are there any shows left
Game
to
Awards.
be able to announce it? There's the
Game Awards, but that's about it.
Could happen.
And we're not really expecting anything at Game Awards, are we?
Well, we'll come on to that in a second.
I think it's like
Reach? Capcom.
The rest of the fucking. We haven't even talked about Reach yet. Oh crap!
It's all right. We can do a quick thing on Reach, but yeah, I think that it's an interesting theory.
I think they don't want that negativity attached. So I think what they'll want to do is they'll want to show Resident Evil 3 independently of Project Resistance. Yeah. And once everyone is fallen in love with it and like is on board to buy it, then much closer to release, they'll be like, oh, by the way, Project Resistance
is included.
Actually,
do you think it will be standalone though, so that you will get it with it? Yeah, but it won't. It will be. It won't be from within the menu. If
it's part of it, it's part of it. I don't think it'll be like. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The speculation is it RE3's multiplayer. Like, when we played the Gears beta, it's not like the single player was there and we just could only select the multiplayer. It was just the multiplayer.
Yeah, I mean, true. I'm just thinking ahead here in the multiplayer games. You know, I remember at XO19 they had a bunch of stations that just had Project Resistance, and it was obviously being advertised with Project RE, and the letters RE were different colours. I'm just wondering if maybe they'd have it as a similar to Crackdown and Crackdown 3 single player, Crackdown 3. Whatever the fucking just
separate installs.
They were separate installs, so I'm just theorizing.
But even separate installs though. Crackdown 3 has separate installs, but it's still technically the one umbrella. Of Crackdown 3.
Yeah. Correct.
So it may be like that
Something
if they
like
do it. It could be like that. I don't know. Like, the reason I say is it RE3's multiplayer mode is because I don't see Capcom doing both a Resident Evil game, full-fledged Resident Evil game, and this other separate multiplayer thing that odds are
'cause
most people aren't gonna pay for. Like,
that seems. It seems dumb to release.
Everyone's Capcom money. Everyone's Capcom money is going to go to RE3. It's not going to go to Project Resistance. And they would know that.
Yeah, so maybe bundling them together is the right.
That's why I'm like, is it just RE3's multiplayer mode? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out anyway. They could be separate things.
It could make sense.
I wonder.
So another little rumor mill, and this just popped into my head, and I didn't even discuss this before the podcast. And this is one. Yeah, so actually two. We've got two.
Two.
So
okay.
I'll do. Let's do Red Dead first. So I can't remember where this was posted, and perhaps you can
in the Discord.
It was posted in the XboxEra Discord. So this is public knowledge, right? But there was a screen cut. Was it Cabril that posted this? I can't remember.
Yeah. He was on the rewards website,
That's
the Microsoft
the one.
Rewards website.
And what did it say?
It said, I wish I had the picture in front of me. Because you know how on the Microsoft Rewards website you can select prizes. Maybe you get a month of Game Pass. Maybe you get a $10 voucher. Maybe you get whatever. And I think in the fine print of one of them, of the Game Pass rewards, it talked about, it was worded in a way that made it sound like Red Dead may be coming to Game Pass.
And Red Dead, let's be specific here, was Red Dead 2.
Red Dead 2. Because Red Dead already is, I think. Red Dead 1. Isn't it?
It's backwards compatible, but I don't believe it's on.
I thought it was on Game Pass. But yeah, it was worded in a way that made it sound like Red Dead was coming to Game Pass. Maybe it's just a misinterpretation, but that's just how it was worded.
Be an interesting. And this is an interesting discussion, right? We've seen GTA 5 consistently since release be in the top 10 video game sales, MPDs, all that shit.
But not Red Dead.
Now, Red Dead obviously is a different beast. GTA 5's online multiplayer has kept that game making bank for Rockstar and Take-Two. So are we going to see them kind of saying, well, Red Dead doesn't really do that, and the online's died, but let's get it back in and get some players into that by putting it on Game Pass?
We get a cash injection from Microsoft.
Could happen.
And we get a ready-made install base that will all download it, play it, try out the multiplayer, and possibly give us money for microtransactions.
The Rumour Mill continues to spin its evil ways.
Yeah.
And the last...
It'd be pretty cool. Not that I'd play it, but it'd be pretty cool.
I'd probably dip back into multiplayer if I knew there was a bunch of folks that, that I personally know that haven't played the game. I didn't even finish the campaign because the controls
I
so fucking
refuse to
terribly.
play Rockstar games until they start giving a shit about how they play.
Yeah. And I don't think that's an invalid opinion. It's like walking through fucking mud.
I do not share these opinions. These opinions are not mine. Yada, yada, yada. Legal disclaimer underneath in the description below.
Here's a rumour, and I apologies, chaps. I haven't shared this with you offline, and it just popped into my head, and I have to be really careful about how I word this. When the Project Scarlett console launches, similarly to the Project Scorpio edition that was available.
Project Scarlett edition.
Better than that. Now, they made a big hoo-ha about launching with Halo. Now, Halo fans are rabid, to say the least. Could not happen, but I have spoken. I've spoken to an individual, and I believe that this is accurate in that when Project Scarlett launches, there will be a customized hardware element for Halo fans.
Well, it makes sense.
It makes sense
because
I kind of figured they would launch with one.
Name one Halo game that didn't get a custom console. Only Halo 2.
Yep.
Halo 1 got one. Halo 3 got one. Halo Reach got one. Halo 4 got one. Halo 5 got one.
Yep.
ODST didn't, but that was
that's an add-on.
Expand alone. But basically every Halo game has had a custom console. So it makes sense.
But yes,
I kind of expected it to be the case. So I don't think they'd launch their premier flagship title for the next generation without a custom box to go with it.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's going to come in the form of a box or just a pad or something to that effect. But
nah, they'll do a box.
I think so. So that's
they
quite
always
cool.
Do.
So keep your eyes
Yeah.
open for that at E3 or whatever.
I will have to buy that because I have all of them.
Same. I'm a fucking sucker for this shit.
I have
Fuck
the-
you,
Yeah,
Microsoft.
the way you say that, Nick, it's like it's one man's burden to own all of the boxes.
I have the Halo 3, the Halo Reach, the Halo 4, the Halo 5. I have all of them. I don't know why, I just do.
Like
Gamers,
the way
man.
you said that,
You're suckers.
like for the people listening, you won't be able to see Nick's face when he says this. But when he said, "and I will buy that box," it's like it's the most bored sounding man I've ever
shell out
seen.
extra
Where it's
money.
like, I have to buy it because it's my legal obligation to do so.
Gotta keep those fan theories going. But yeah, I just thought it was a really interesting tidbit. We'll see what happens on that front.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
I think I'll have to buy 2 of them. a basic Xbox 5 and a Halo
This
edition.
is the thing. I like my console stuff to kind of like match and blend in, and if it's just a black box, fine. But you know, like Halo at the same time. It depends what the design is. I think I'll wait until...
You know what it is? There's a lesson I've learned with limited edition consoles now. The problem with limited edition consoles, if you're planning on using them, which I've started to do now. I never used to, but I've started to use them now. The problem with buying limited edition consoles is if it breaks, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because they will not replace it with another limited edition one. Even if you send it in for repairs, the one you get back will not be a limited edition one. So it's
Very
a
true.
very dangerous game to play. So that's why I'm like, maybe this time around, I will buy a Halo 5 one and leave it packed away sealed, and then just buy the stock black one that comes at the start.
Sell that.
You're
Sell the
gonna
Halo
reap the
Infinite. You just
benefits in
misspoke
50
and said
years.
Halo 5. You're going back
Oh,
in
did
time.
I? Oh,
benefits in
sorry.
50
The Halo Infinite. Yeah, sorry. I'll
But yeah,
buy
so
the Halo one.
that's it for this this episode's edition of the Rumour Mill. Let's talk about rumours and theories surrounding the Kojima. I mean, the Game Awards.
Yeah, Kojima. Welcome to
Death
the
Stranding
Kojima
Awards.
cast.
The Death Stranding Awards.
Should we-
the game
should we,
that got
like,
more nominations. The game that got more nominations than Red Dead 2 and God of War did last year.
Let's talk about
Jesus
that,
Christ.
right?
Fucking hell.
Well, do we talk about that really to any length, because this is an Xbox podcast and not a Sony one? There was an article, I think, that said something to the effect of that Jeff Keighley was spouting around on Twitter that, hey, I don't get to judge, I don't have any influence, and all this sort of thing.
Why do
despite
people
the fact,
keep saying that? Who cares?
yeah, who gives
if he
a
doesn't
fuck?
judge? Like,
It's the
it's his
optics
show.
of it, exactly.
but it's not even about the optics. Like, it's like saying, oh shit, I don't know. You know when you have a company Christmas party, and the CEO always wins the door prize. But it's not like it's, you know, I didn't rig it. It's just I took a ticket like everyone else, but somehow the CEO always wins the door prize. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Jeff doesn't vote, and Jeff has no influence. But man, anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
If people want to be naive and gullible, they can be naive and gullible, man. Whatever.
Yeah, I've not played Death Stranding, so I won't comment on whether it's divisive or not. I certainly think from my limited time perspective, it hugely reminds me of Sea of Thieves, except the conversation is completely different around it. And I think one of the Digital Foundry guys made a similar point in that, and I think even it might have been Ghost Crew, one of the moderators on Reset Era. He was like, you know, Sea of Thieves is super similar in that it's not about the narrative really, or it's not about getting from A to B. It's what happens when you're traveling from A to B, and that's that's what's fun. And I'm like, is it fun to balance packages and press different buttons to walk? I don't know.
Is it fun?
Is it fun?
to
It's
sail
not
a ship
my
by
place to
yourself
say.
and
It's
deal with
not
shitty
fun.
combat?
It's
and
not fun to sail a ship
always
myself.
pick up loot from the same
I think
fucking island,
that's-
return it to the same fucking
That's
island.
where it's different, right? Is that Sea of Thieves allows itself to be fun because it's multiplayer and you have fun with friends. Whereas Death Stranding doesn't really do that. But, you know, yes, it's nominated for a bunch of awards, including Best Game. Should it win it? Probably not.
It's going to.
Yeah, and that's shit.
Doesn't matter.
I think Outer Worlds.
I need
or Gears
something.
5
I need an
more
award to
deserved.
laud over people that say Kojima did wrong with Death Stranding. So, it's gonna win it. I want it to win it. And if
What?
anything else wins, I'm gonna blame you guys
Okay.
Hold on. Why do
Okay.
you want it to win?
because I need something to lord over people, and that's the best thing I can get. So,
What do you want to lord over them? What do you want? I don't get it.
It's like I guess because it would cause a bit of an uproar in some circles. I guess.
because I can use it and wave it around in the XboxEra Discord, and just make fun of people. So don't take that from
Okay.
me.
Can't talk about Death Stranding being a divisive game. It won a best game of the year. But yeah, the Game Awards is coming, and Microsoft have already kind of teased and said, hey, guess what games you're going to see at the Game Awards? You're going to see some more from Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which I can't wait for. I can't believe it's only 3 months away. February is so close. And Gears of War Tactics, which is the
We spoke about
XCOM.
this last episode, didn't we?
I believe we did,
little
yeah.
bit.
So I think we theorized last episode that we might see it, and now we are actually seeing it. I can't remember if it had been confirmed
No,
at
no,
that
no.
point.
It was confirmed last episode. XO.
Was
It
it?
was XO, remember?
I can't remember if they said
Yep.
it at XO.
It was confirmed last episode.
So do we think we're going to see anything else? And I'm still fucking holding out hope that we're going to see a Halo Infinite multiplayer beta reveal.
No.
I'm still.
No,
I'm still,
I don't think.
It's
I
still
don't
there.
think.
It's
I
still
don't
there.
think-
I'm holding out. I'm
No,
holding out hope.
I
Fuck
don't
you.
think. I don't think 343 is going to do a multiplayer beta for Halo Infinite. Just because at this point, I think they're just going to go all hands on deck, focus on polishing up the game and finishing up for release. Because they have to ship on a new console, and that's extra overhead. So
No, but they
put
don't.
a beta on top of that.
At the same time, they don't want to screw up the multiplayer either.
Yeah.
Like
I don't.
after
I don't know
Halo
if I-
4,
Yeah.
and then after Master Chief Collection, I just yeah.
And look, the
I mean,
fact
Halo-
is they've
Halo
said they're going
5
to do flight link.
Like, but the thing is though, Halo 5's multiplayer was great. Guess what? Halo 5 also got a beta a year out.
Yeah.
So
And they've said that.
But
they're gonna
Halo
do
5
flight
didn't
link.
have to launch on a new box at the time. Halo
But-
5
But it
launched
is being
know,
developed
in
for the
2015
Xbox One.
in 2016.
Yeah. So, and you've got to think
it is
that-
being made for Xbox One.
So they've got a super mature development environment. They've got a PC environment that they've got to take care of, and they've got the Project Scarlett environment that they've got to take care of. They're all going to be running in
No way.
parallel. They're all going to have quirks and tweaks and uniqueness to some of their elements. Are we going to see RTX implemented on PC and Scarlet? We don't know. We literally
Yes.
don't know at this point. I would assume yes.
Because
But-
the new Xbox has ray tracing.
Yeah. But they've stated
No,
that we're
don't.
still going to
No.
do flighting, and this is the last chance we're going to see. So let me hold on to that hope, please. I want to play Halo Infinite.
No, I'm just gonna dash your hopes.
Don't
right
do
now.
it.
No,
Don't do it. Don't be that guy.
no. it's
Join
not
me,
gonna
Halo
happen.
fans.
Because I said it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Oh.
That's how
The
the, world
gospel
works. It
has
revolves around my
spoken,
say
yeah.
so. Yeah.
So yeah, it's. But we'll see what happens. Do you think Gears of War is going to win a Game Award, or The Outer Worlds is going to win a Game Award?
I think it might.
Best Xbox game.
I have the award, but have the nominees been announced?
Yes.
I know they announced the nominees for the actual game of the year, but have they announced the nominees for any other category?
Yeah, I think Gears of War is there in Best Xbox Game, which is almost like a... Well, yeah, if you've only released 2 games on your console that are exclusive to Xbox, it's got to be one of them.
What are the other options? Fucking Modern
Crackdown 3.
Warfare.
Crackdown 3 is the
Crackdown
other
3.
option. Let's face it, that's going to be the surprise winner, right? In our hearts. It's Crackdown 3.
In our hearts is Crackdown 3.
Crackdown 3 is the game of the year, though.
I think Gears will win some awards. I don't think it'll take home a lot of things because Sony didn't really have anything this year outside of Death Stranding, right?
Days Gone.
Hey, they had Days Gone, okay?
Okay, Days
had
Gone
Days
is fucking Days Gone.
Okay.
See, Days Gone is so forgettable. I forgot about it until someone reminded me it exists.
Yeah.
So,
Days Gone is gone from our memories.
yeah, Days Gone shouldn't win any awards, and I'm pretty sure it's not nominated for anything. So,
I'm sure Jeff will come up with a cool Best Zombie Horde Simulation Award.
just to give Sony another one, they need a trophy. They're desperate.
I don't get it.
But
though,
then didn't
man.
World War Z come out this year?
The thing that frustrates me about the Game Awards, right, and I'm not sure how you guys feel about this, is it seems exclusively geared towards the types of games that Sony particularly make. right? In terms of game of the year. And that's weird to me. Like, let's look at Gears 5 as a package, right? Ignore the fact that it's Gears. Ignore the fact that it's an established franchise for a second, right? From a pure content perspective, Gears 5 completely dominates any other game release aside from maybe Call of Duty. In terms of content available for me to log in and play with my friends, to log in and play on my own, to log in and do something, it is a huge array of content to play through. That, as I understand it, for the most part, is pretty stable. Whereas Death Stranding is a single player
Amazon employee simulator.
Yeah, and then what other games are there? Well, let's Google this shit, right? Let's do this right now. What other games are available?
Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry 5.
DMC 5 was this year? Really?
Yep. Control.
Yep.
Jesus.
Control.
Super Smash Brothers
Resident
Ultimate.
Evil 2 was January. Devil May Cry 5 was like April. What else?
So, Resident Evil 2, Control, Super Smash Brothers, Sekiro.
Outer Worlds.
And Death Stranding.
Sekiro, yeah.
Gears 5 is not in there.
Yeah. It's a bit silly.
That's bonkers to me. And
that comes from someone that's not a massive fan of it either.
Okay, here's the thing. You're speaking from a pure consumer perspective.
Yep.
Yes, Gears 5 is an incredible package for how much you're paying for it, considering how much content it has. But award shows are never about content.
Okay.
They're about artistry.
So
Gears
5
the
Gears
impact.
5 was also critically more successful than Death Stranding. So that's another checkbox off.
Yeah.
So
not in Famitsu magazine.
What excuses do we have left now?
So it didn't get a 40 out of 40.
I'm not saying I disagree. I'm not saying I disagree with the idea that Gears shouldn't be at least nominated for Game of the Year.
And again, I'm not even a huge fan of Gears 5.
I don't
I'm
agree
forcing
with
myself through
the
that
argument
game.
from the content perspective alone.
I think it's that great.
Like, it's not about content. It's not about the amount of it versus how much money you're spending. It's not playability per dollar. Otherwise, it'd be an objective award, not a subjective award.
But it doesn't matter which measure you use. Gears 5 should be nominated regardless.
It's about the impact of the title and its perspective in the year going away. That's it. I don't think Gears should be excluded from that list, considering how much of a fucking godsend it was for Microsoft Studios, considering the anemic presence they've had over the last several years, At the same time, I'm not going to sit here and criticize the lineup of Game of the Year awards for titles that have an enormous amount of content, for lacking titles that have an enormous amount of content, because it's not that.
Yeah.
Award shows are never about that. The Game Awards is the Oscars. Right? And the Oscars only gives a shit about the same thing Sony is fucking good at. So
yeah, that's right.
It's just, I just think that's disingenuous to all types of games, really. And I know they have the other awards, like best indie and best newcomer and whatever, best technology. I don't know,
but then hold on, this is the thing, right? They have best indie, they have best sports / racing. Yet Celeste not nominated for Game of the Year?
Not this year.
It was last year. Last year.
Last year it might have been, yeah.
Last year it was, yeah.
That's right. So it seems like it's completely arbitrary when a game that normally should not be part of that conversation becomes part of that conversation.
Yeah, and it's something that I take issue a lot with.
He's muted himself.
No. Oh, yeah, I have. Sorry. It's not even. I'm just looking through the categories. It's not even in the action adventure game category.
Yeah.
It is in the action game category, so I don't know why there's a distinction between those two. Art direction. It's not in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't really get the action adventure category because Resident Evil. So all the things that are similar in the action adventure category compared to the action category is that most of them are open world games with a emphasis on the adventure aspect, except Resident Evil 2. That's the one I don't get.
Which
Like,
is the third-person shooter like
game.
Gears is.
Yeah, that should be in the action category. Why is Metro Exodus in the action category, not in the action adventure category? Because Metro Exodus is partially open world. This doesn't make sense to me as a list whatsoever. But I mean, I'm not the one making the list, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make here, and I think I'm pretty sure you guys only partially disagree, is even though Gears should have been nominated for Game of the Year, I kind of see why it wasn't, because it's not I'm going to use a term here it's not Oscar bait.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not Oscar bait.
There's no sad dad in it.
There's no sad dad in it.
This is bullshit. There is a sad dad, depending upon what you choose. This is bullshit.
You're right.
This is a fix.
Hold on.
There's a
Resident
sad
Evil. Resident Evil 2 is.
Resident Evil's a cold stone classic that's been remade in an excelling, an interesting and very.
I don't think
beautiful,
remakes should be
faithful
eligible.
way.
I don't think remakes should be eligible for Game of the Year, but that's just me. They should be.
I don't believe Gears 5 is Game of the Year.
I don't either.
But
I just think it should at least be nominated.
But it should have been nominated 100%. Like, I don't see a reason why it wasn't nominated outside of the fact that it's a fucking Xbox game. I don't see any other reason why it wasn't nominated.
That's essentially what it is. Like, the thing is, we like to claim like games like Gears 5 are just the return to form that Xbox needs, but at the same time, the awards market has just been clamoring for the same game Sony's been putting out for years now, and it's just not changing. So unless Microsoft makes fucking Game Awards bait, then they're not going to get a fucking nomination.
But again, this is what I'm saying. I don't think it's about clamoring for what Sony makes. It's about excluding what Microsoft does. Because for Resident Evil 2 to have been included, for Sekiro to have been included, they're not Sony-style games. So why did they get nominated?
Outer Worlds is definitely not a Sony-style game.
That's right. Outer Worlds is not a Sony-style game.
Super Smash Brothers is a fucking fighting game.
It's a party game that involves fighting.
Hey.
And that's
a fighting game.
Settle down, kids.
Like, this is what I mean. Like, the goalposts seem to constantly shift in a way that just happens to exclude.
Yeah.
I mean, last episode we had the same thing with the whole fucking it's all cartoony at XO19. It's just
ridiculous. Yeah.
I said,
Gears 5 is not Game of the Year at all. But it should 100% have been nominated. It's ridiculous that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the problem, again, is none of the games Xbox really makes appeal to the demographic of people that would see one of their favorite titles be nominated at the Game Awards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a sad fact, but we live in a world where a bunch of people care more about realism or
narrative
or any of these other things. Not that they're bad things to consider, but they care more about it than actual gameplay.
Yeah.
And what it means what the gameplay means in the context of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because Gears 5 is very much in the like, even if you play the campaign, like, its grittiness, the mechanical grittiness of that game comes through so well in how the game like plays and how the narrative makes you feel about that gameplay. You know what I mean? So it's kind of bullshit, to be honest.
I still think the narrative for Gears 5, it's not going to win any awards, clearly. But I was surprised at the tonal shift. Like, it was still Gears, it was still ludicrous. You still had Coltrane driving a motorbike into a Brumac's face and exploding it. But and I've said this before.
For people who haven't played the game yet.
Sorry.
Spoilers for people who haven't played the game yet.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert. But I won't even be specific. In the first act of Gears 5, there is a tonal shift where one of the protagonists
fucks up,
right? And I've mentioned this before, and the way that cutscene was done, and the way
God,
it was
you can
directed
just-
and the way it was put together, I like genuinely,
I don't
I
remember
felt
the one
something.
you're talking about. I probably skipped it.
The bit where he cheats and he gets the HOD. I'm trying to speak. I don't know what's the point of speaking acronym. If you haven't played Gears 5 yet, it's your fault. He gets the Hammer of Dawn online, but the targeting doesn't work, so he like gets it to follow his tracker on his suit to save everyone, and inadvertently kills a bunch of civilians and fucking loses loads of lives. And there's a bit where he's trying to get people out of the truck, and the fucking laser beams like destroying all the fucking street, and everyone's dying, and he can't get them out, and that's why he ends up with his burnt arm, because he gets like half lasered. But when that happens,
I must have skipped it because I honestly, like I've said this before, I could not care less about story in games.
Yeah,
I skip cutscenes. Like I just started Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and
There's a
I
lot of
start
cutscenes.
watching a cutscene, and about 30 seconds in, I'm like, I don't care. Skip.
yeah.
And I go straight. I just don't care. I just let me play a cool game. I don't care about the story.
Yeah. So I do that a lot in RPGs. I have to admit, I skip a load of conversation. Just give me a fucking nav marker and tell me who to go fucking kill.
Maybe that's why I don't fawn over Sony's games the way everyone else does, because I skip all the cutscenes. And
Well, I
because
mean,
those
I don't fawn over, like, I don't skip over cutscenes personally, and I appreciate a game's story for, you know, being a good, well-written story. At least from my perspective, I don't give a shit about the story Sony wants to tell. So,
Yeah, it's interesting, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, the Game Awards is coming. We're going to see Gears. We're going to see Ori 2. We're definitely going to see Halo Infinite. You heard it here first. It's confirmed. Halo Infinite multiplayer reveal coming Game Awards.
it's not going to come.
It's
Shut
not, it's not
up.
happening.
All right,
It's not happening.
join
Stop
me, Halo
pining for
fans,
things
in
that won't
hoping.
exist, like the NVMe SSD.
That's
And-
happening. That's definitely happening.
No.
There-
SSDs, yes. NVMe, no.
NVMe SSDs are definitely happening.
So
No.
here's an
I
interesting thing.
refuse to believe that.
I'm not sure
That
if
is
anyone saw this.
99% confirmed.
You two arguing about the NVMe SSDs, all right? They're kind of.
We can go
Because
for
it
hours.
doesn't
That
matter.
and ray
Like,
tracing.
First he was arguing with me and Chris about ray tracing being in these new boxes. He said that's not going to happen because ray tracing runs like shit now. There's no way known these new consoles are going to have ray tracing. That has since been confirmed to be in the new consoles. Then we were talking about the NVMe SSDs, and he's like, "That's never going to happen." And
You
we're
okay,
like,
Cairo?
We're telling you,
You're
dude,
being
that
ragged
it's going
on
to
here.
happen.
You're being ragged on. You're gonna take
I'm
this
used
shit.
to it.
You're gonna take
I'm
this
used
shit.
to it. NVMe is but the thing is, at least with ray tracing, you can get dedicated hardware to solve that problem. The problem with NVMe is that the dedicated hardware is already fucking ludicrously expensive. One
But it's
NVMe
not.
drive is about half the
But
cost
it's
of a
not.
fucking projected
No,
box.
it's not. I
Nah.
keep showing you links.
I saw one,
in the
90
You
quid.
keep
Whole
showing me
terabyte,
links
90
to a
quid.
fucking non-name brand drive piece of
but
shit.
why do you assume that Microsoft and Sony are going to go with the most expensive name brand NVMe SSD?
Because they already do in the Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
They will
The
go
drives
with
are
whatever
WD
they can
and
get.
Toshiba.
They will go with whatever they can get.
least in my
Like I just
memory, they're
opened up.
WD
I
and
just bought a
Toshiba.
brand new PS4. To replace a friend's one, and I opened up the hard drive and to replace it with a 1 terabyte, and it was a Toshiba. But his old one was a Hitachi. They will go with whatever fucking brand they can get a good deal out of for those hard drives. It's not going to matter. It's like the original Xbox. Some Xboxes had a Philips DVD drive. Some of them had a Samsung DVD drive. Some of them, I think, even had a freaking... Was it TCL or a...
I'm pretty sure SSDs are notorious for, like, if you go with non-name brands, then something's fucky.
Yeah, but they might get it. They might have a deal with... Like, Microsoft and Samsung have always been very, very close. Maybe they'll come to an agreement with Samsung where they'll get them super, super cheap. Maybe Sony will start fucking making their own one. Like,
Who knows?
Pioneer makes SSDs. I didn't even know that. I only discovered this, like, the other day.
Yeah.
Like,
and to be fair, a lot of this stuff is end up being produced in the same factory and just has a different label slapped on it. You know, like
That's right. Just like Eneloop-
LG
just
screens
like-
are used in Sony TVs,
Yeah.
right? So
Just like Eneloop batteries and IKEA's rechargeable batteries. Secret, they're the same.
yeah. So go figure.
If you want
But,
cheap Eneloops, go buy IKEA's batteries.
there was another thing that I forgot to mention before, but it kind of ties into this episode's top 5. It was recently both the Xbox One, the Xbox OG, and the Xbox 360's birthdays.
Yeah.
Being what is it? I don't know how many years.
18 for the OG, 14 for the 360,
and 6 for
and
the
6
Xbox
for
One.
the Xbox One.
I did see a cool thing on Halo's Instagram. They had an OG Xbox One and an Xbox One, and they were using a type of microphone, and I can't remember the type of microphone, but they were recording the internal sounds of all the electronics working together.
Yeah, that was cool.
If you haven't seen it on Instagram, go and check it out. We're getting some cool sci-fi noises, man. It was really spooky and weird, but I thought it was really cool.
It's cool too, and I actually mentioned this earlier to you guys before we started recording. Was Austin Evans, if anyone's heard of him? He's not a gaming YouTuber. He's a tech YouTuber who does a lot of reviews. He's like, if anyone's heard of Linus Tech Tips, he's like that, more focused on consumer electronics, however. And he did a video with some snippets of interviews with Aaron Greenberg talking about the history of Xbox. It's a 35-minute video as like a celebration of the birthdays of the consoles. It's not a bad watch, honestly, and I recommend giving that a try.
Good plug.
It's pretty good.
Let's do that.
I want to know what that device was that was recording those sounds. That with the blue light.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of
over
it.
the box. I want to know what that was.
Yeah.
Well, whilst you're doing your first top 5, I'm going to go onto a Google for adventure and find it and tell you what the name of it is.
So it was the birthday of all the Xboxes, but I chose to focus the top 5 on the original Xbox because it's the older one. So this is my top 5 favorite OG Xbox games. So we got number 5. I've got Rallisport Challenge 2, which was an awesome game. Unfortunately, never made it to backwards compatibility, but
probably because of licensed music, I would assume.
Maybe, I don't know, or car licenses. But what a lot of people don't realize is that before DICE became a first-person shooter studio, basically, they were effectively a racing studio and made a whole shit ton of racing games before EA bought them. And Rallisport and Rallisport 2 were Xbox exclusives they made, so like a third-party deal, like your Rises and your Dead Rising and all that sort of stuff. But Rallisport, I mean, everyone knows DICE. They're wizards, and they make stunning games, and the Rallisport games were no exception. I don't know if either of you have played them, but
I think I played Rallisport on the original Xbox.
Yeah, even today, if you were to pull out your Xbox and play Rallisport, it would still look like stunning today. Like, it's a genuinely good-looking game.
Nice.
But it actually played surprisingly well. I don't know if I'd put it up there with Sega Rally in terms of its handling, but it was still a really, really good racing game.
Wasn't Rallisport Challenge 2 one of the first games, along with the original Forza, that had like procedural destruction on the cars? Or am I thinking of something else?
No, you might be right. There was some sort of destruction thing going on with the cars in Rallisport too. It was quite cool. And I think it might have been like, it would get progressively dirtier and dust would kick up.
Yeah.
There was all sorts of cool shit. It was really, really good. Number 4, I've got Dead or Alive 3.
Oh man, I loved that game.
Yeah, it was really, really good.
The only fighting series I was half good at.
Stunning. I mean, I love Virtua Fighter. Virtua Fighter's always been my favorite 3D fighting series, but I did always have an affinity with Dead or Alive because I liked its focus on speed and fluidity. I mean, Virtua Fighter was still quick, especially compared to Tekken at the time, but Dead or Alive was just like, it was so bombastic's not the right word because it's a fighting game, but like it was just
very slick,
full on. Like
I used to love
so
and
fast.
You used to be able to catch, that where you press back and X and you'd be like, and you do some.
Yeah, the counters were fucking brutal. Like
I loved
and
it.
the interactive environments and
Yeah.
I mean, again, stunning games. Like everything on the original Xbox was stunning because the hardware was ridiculously powerful for the time. Like
Yeah.
Like I think to this day it's like the only console that was more powerful than PCs at the time for like a good year or more. Like, it took a long time for PCs to catch up and surpass that original Xbox. Like, because it effectively was a PC. It effectively was just a monstrous PC.
It was huge as well.
Intel CPU, NVIDIA dedicated GPU. Like, it was just a ridiculous piece of hardware at the time. So every game was stunning. Like, it was outputting games in 720p, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. So that's Dead or Alive. I didn't go with Ultimate because that was kind of just a remake of Dead or Alive 1 and 2. Number 3, Ninja Gaiden Black.
One of the best games ever made.
Would probably want that higher.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, really good game. And of course, backwards compatible, and it looks unbelievable.
It looks gorgeous.
Playing it in 4K, I was genuinely surprised at how well it played, how responsive it felt,
and how
sadly
good it still looks.
Sadly, it left Game Pass. That's the thing that sucked.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, I own the disc, so
Look,
it's not going to bother me too much. But
the OG games though, they're like $10. Like.
Yeah, and Ninja Gaiden Black is still absolutely worth it. I mean,
okay, most of the OG games are $10. Morrowind on Xbox One is still $20 because it's on price parity with the PC version. But
okay, that's and it's just funny. You know how these days the whole thing is when a game comes out and it's difficult, it's the Dark Souls of this, or it's the this of Dark Souls, or fucking whatever.
Ninja Gaiden was the Dark Souls.
Gaiden,
Dark Souls.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden was doing brutal difficulty long before Dark Souls was, or Demon Souls.
Oh God!
Wait, I know I've been corrected on this before. Gaiden or Gaiden? Gaiden or Gaiden?
I'm just gonna say Gaiden.
Gaiden. Right. Okay.
Gaiden.
I'm clear. Thanks. I loved Ninja Gaiden Black, and it's probably definitely within my top 5 games of all time. Like, the thing I loved about it was you hit a boss and you were like, you got your ass fucking. To put a phrase, you got your shit pushed in. It's a bit of an Essex slang term there.
And it wasn't cheap though.
It wasn't cheap, but then there were some cheap moments, but that happened.
I mean, I consider the fucking fight on top of the blimp pretty cheap at some point.
You couldn't help but get back into it, and you'd be like, "Oh!" And then when you did it, you were like, "Oh, I'm the fucking ninja ever," and you're like, "Yeah." And then when you get the next boss, you're like, "Well, there's no way. This has just got even harder," and it just progressively got worse and worse. And the only thing that I think was cheap, and I can't remember if it's Ninja Gaiden Black or Ninja Gaiden 2, you're in like a skeleton tomb. It's got to be one, Ninja Gaiden Black. You're in this skeleton tomb. It's got this spiral staircase that goes up, and there were these guys with bows and arrows, and they like instant lock on, and the camera's not the best, so you can't always you're constantly hammering right trigger to center the camera so you can see. And I just trying to make it up that, and I was just like mid jump from platform to platform, arrow back down to the bottom. Honestly, I think I broke a pad. Like just snap it off.
I think if there was ever a remake of the original Ninja Gaiden, like Ninja Gaiden Black, and like a re-release,
with all the beautiful
HD textures and everything,
graphic.
I think the one thing they need to fix is back then all the Japanese action games I remember playing, like, because I didn't own an original Xbox back then when I was a kid. I didn't get an original Xbox until maybe 6 years ago, and I went back through and started playing all those games. And the one thing I noticed was a lot of the Japanese games, action, story-driven, whatever you had the same camera problem of always making it fixed directions, rather than allowing you to do a full like free axis turn, you know? And I feel like that's the one thing they need to fix if they ever do a remake of Ninja Gaiden Black. Give me fucking full control of the camera
on PS2.
Yeah.
I feel the exact
Give me
same
fucking
way.
control of the camera. I don't understand what this obsession is with forcing me into one perspective.
Yeah, it's
and then having me fucking have to like manually trigger switches.
Yeah.
And just oh my god. There's a mechanic that they use to get over it where you can like zoom in to what's his name? Ryu, right? The main character.
Yeah,
of Ninja Gaiden Black?
Hayabusa.
Yeah. You can zoom into his view, and you get like that. You can actually like look around as if
first
like
person.
in first person, and it's just. But you can't move, obviously. And the minute you move, the camera goes back to third person, and now you're in this limited perspective where the camera's always on rails, and you just fucking have to deal with it. And I hate it so much.
Yeah.
Well. the
Stone Cold
quirks that
classic.
come with old games, eh?
Yeah.
Was that number 3?
So that was number 3. So number 2, NBA Street Volume 2. Those who know me should have expected this. This game is literally the only reason I'm still holding on to my OG Xbox, because I don't think it's going to become backwards compatible. SSX 3 gives me hope that NBA Street may come one day. But it is, if it's not the best basketball game of all time, it is very much in the top 3. Like, it is just, and I know there was an NBA Street Volume 1 and a Volume 3, but 2 was just utter perfection. Like, I mean, at first glance, it just looks like an NBA Jam clone, and obviously now 2K have made, or 2K didn't make the first Playgrounds, but they've made the second one. But there's NBA Playgrounds, which has tried to be NBA Street, but it's just not anywhere near as good. But it just sort of, NBA Street was basically, you know how there's FIFA Street as well?
Yeah.
They did NBA Street. So it was taking that NBA Jam absurdity and combining it with the sim aspects of NBA Live, but it just created such an unbelievable street basketball game. Like I say in the article, how even though everyone looks to Halo as the beginning of Halo nights, for me, my Xbox nights started with NBA Street. Like, there was a bunch of us, we all worked together, and once a month we'd all come to my house and we'd just play NBA Street for just hours and hours and hours on end. 4 players, 1 TV, you know, and you didn't have to split the screen, obviously, because it was a sports game.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just so good. And I am going to hold out hope, probably forever, that it's going to come to backwards compatibility. Because the second it does,
you'll be the happiest man. You'll be the happiest man in the world.
Selling that Xbox. Number 1, I mean, this should be freaking obvious. Combat Evolved,
of course.
Yeah, I mean, you can't.
You can't have a
Halo
top list.
Yeah, you can't have a favorite original Xbox games and have Halo not be there. I mean, it should be number 1 by default, but it has to be top 4 or top 3 or top 5. Like, the Xbox brand exists because of Halo Combat Evolved.
Yeah.
Like,
it's still my favorite Halo campaign to play through, even to this day.
It's still my favorite Halo game. It's still probably in my top 5 favorite games of all time. Like, it's just, what can you say? I mean, there's not much to say about Halo. Everyone knows what Halo is.
It's all been said, right? It modernized the genre. In some ways for me, and this is probably blasphemy for anyone on the PC space, in some ways for me, it almost out-Half-Lifed Half-Life in terms of immersion into a world, and not through physics or anything like that.
Fucking oath it did.
Yeah, well, I just it did something. It triggered something in me, and started a long love story for video games in general. And you know, it is, and I'm sure I'm joined by many Halo fans in that Halo Infinite channels that spirit. I don't want it to rip off Halo CE, but I want that.
So far, it channels that spirit.
I think,
but
the biggest problem I had with Halo
to.
2 and Halo 3 and all the others was and especially Halo 4 and 5, was it dispelled the mystery. Halo 1, we're running away from some fucking alien bad guys. You don't know why we're here. You don't know the context for this. There was a book, but you might not have read it. Boom, we've landed on this thing. We don't know what the fuck's going on. And it just continued. And there was this mystery, and the aliens didn't speak English, and you had no real fucking idea.
I mean,
about what was going
Halo
on.
1, the aliens did speak
Well,
English.
the grunts did, but the elites and etc. certainly didn't.
That's what I loved about Halo. Like,
it's just great.
Again, I just said how I don't give a shit about story, but the beauty of Halo was that it didn't just tell it through cutscenes.
No.
Like, you were told the story in the environments. You were told the story through your chatter with Cortana. You were told the story in other ways that didn't involve you just sitting there watching a movie.
Yeah, and the music
Like,
was shit. It was
that's
nuts.
what made it so good. Like, and just the semi-open world. Like, it was kind of open world, but it wasn't. It was, and I'm glad that, I mean, I said back a few years ago, after I saw the legendary ending for Halo 5,
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't seen it, and you know what? Statute of limitations, man. It's been fucking like 4 years. So, the legendary ending of Halo 5, they find another Halo ring.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, so Halo 6, they're basically going to episode 7 the shit out of Halo. Like, that's what they need to do. So everyone said that Star Wars Episode 7 was basically Episode 4 done today.
Yep.
That is what they needed to do for Halo 6, which is now obviously Halo Infinite. And it does look like that is what they're doing. They're effectively taking CE and just reimagining it for today, which I have... After Halo 4 and 5, I have no problems with that. Like, just make a good Halo game, and then once everyone's happy with one, then go and do your own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, my favourite memory, I'm just picturing, like, classic moments. Like, aside from the Flood reveal, which was just fucking epic, and I just remember the sheer panic as I'm emptying assault rifle bursts, and they're all fucking coming at me. Was, I think, one of my favourite missions is 2 Betrayals. And I know there's a lot of criticism about backtracking and reuse of assets in Halo CE, which is understandable for a launch game.
But it made sense in the story, though.
But it made sense in the story, so I never really criticised it. And people that hate the library... Fuck you! It's a great run and gun. It just changes the pace of the game entirely for that level.
I hate the library.
That's fine. That's fine. But the moment in, I think it's in 2 Betrayals, you come back down from the pyramid, and you get to the bottom, and now all fucking hell's broken loose. You've got your Marines, you've got the Covenant, you've got the Flood, and the Flood are taking over people mid fucking game, and you're fucking shooting everyone, and sometimes you can come back, you arrive onto a battlefield and it's already fucking happening. You can just sit and watch and see who wins, it's different every fucking time. The AI in that game to this day is still up there.
Yeah,
the only game that it channels that Halo C AI, and this is a good segue because we forgot to talk about it even though we brought it up, was Halo Reach. Playing Halo Reach back in 2010, when you fought the elites again, you were like, "Ooh, these are slippery bastards again," and it felt really good. And obviously we now know Halo Reach is launching on both PC and Xbox as part of Master Chief Collection on Tuesday. So very, very excited to play that again. And I'm not sure if this is going to come through. I did a Google foo on this post, and you guys won't be able to hear this, but I'm hopeful that the podcast setup will record this. The microphone was called a LOM label microphone. So this is what the audio team said. Our audio team found these specialised LOM label microphones in Area 51 and used them to pick up the electromagnetic fields emitting from the Xbox consoles. By applying some light processing in the Kaima sound design environment by Symbolic Sound, they were able to create some interesting sci-fi textures. And I'm hoping this will pick up. And if not, I'll have to do some jiggery pokery to insert the sound afterwards. But this is what it sounded like. So this is the OG Xbox One being powered on. You can kind of...
It's not coming through here.
Yeah, it won't come through to you, so you'll just have to use your imagination. That's the disk drive opening.
I remember it. I remember hearing it, though.
So weird. And super cool. And like even the motor of it spinning up and woo.
Yeah, it made some awesome noises.
It's very, very cool.
I saw that Instagram post. That was great.
Yeah, so... That's what it sounds like.
And let's not forget, Halo CE also has the greatest weapon in any first-person shooter ever in that pistol that is also a shotgun and a sniper rifle.
Yep.
That Magnum was fucking amazing.
Where's Funknown when I need him, man? Like, we could argue the necessity of having a utility weapon, and it's something that Halo 3 screwed the pooch with a little bit in that by making the battle rifle not hit scan, and it had this kind of spread and it was randomized. Playing Halo 3 even today, I still love that game, but oh man, it's a slog. Whereas with the pistol, Halo 5 pistol, and even to a degree the Reach pistol, Bloom notwithstanding, you stood a chance when you spawned, and that was the point. Even though it wasn't always
Halo
the best
CE
gun,
pistol, man.
Doom cannon. Yeah, I love the fact that they brought it back into Halo 5.
I was so happy when they brought that back for Halo 5. God, that was just an incredible feeling, especially when it spawns as a power weapon and everyone's gunning for it in the center of the map.
Yeah. It's just like, and the thing is, the best part is, it was a mistake. Like, it was that pistol was a mistake.
What's his name? Jones. Give me the name. Bungie guy.
I think so, something like that. Yeah.
He logged in
he said that they
the day
fucked up
before launch.
and it was a mistake.
Yeah, that's classic.
And like the greatest mistake ever. Like that gun. Like it's literally 3 guns in one. It is a pistol, a shotgun, and a sniper rifle all in one.
It's beautiful.
It's
beautiful.
So good.
But yeah, that's a good top 5. That's good
I
memories.
did want to squeeze Splinter Cell in. Splinter Cell just missed out by the barest of margins, but yeah.
It's classic. Pandora Tomorrow, I think, was where it really jumped up because it introduced Spies versus Mercs, which I absolutely loved.
Just bought them all on backwards compatibility. Just bought them all on Xbox One.
I just don't know. I'm a different guy now. I don't know if I have the patience to stealth my way through that shit anymore. But we'll see. And I'm sure there'll be a new Splinter Cell coming down the pipe at someday soon.
Hopefully.
But yeah, so I think that about brings this episode of the XboxEra podcast to a close. As always, if you're listening and you haven't yet clicked subscribe on YouTube, why not? What have we done to deserve your
Please
disinterest?
Subscribe, hit the bell icon so you know when our new episodes come in.
All that good shit.
All of it. Give us a comment down below to see if there's anything you didn't like or anything you love.
Yep.
Let us know if you have any questions you want us to address.
Follow
we do take community requests.
The XboxEra.
Yep.
At the XboxEra on Twitter.
We do giveaways, and I think I've still got another year of Game Pass Ultimate to give away at some point soon. So I might have to queue that up for Christmas or maybe the new year. We'll certainly see. But otherwise, thanks for watching and or listening, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Adios.